What's going on, guys? FadeitLuie here, bringing guys a brand new video. We're gonna be doing a mid-taper on my boy, so stay tuned. We started off with our gold FX, creating our first guideline, contouring to his head shape. Keep in mind not to press too hard with your trimmers because you will create a harsh guideline. Now that we're done balding them out, we can move on to our no guard all the way open and create our second guideline. We're then going to use the lever to soften up this line and then eventually take it out. Don't forget to use your opposite hand to stretch the skin so you can spread the blend. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to the one guard all the way open and create our third guideline. This is going to be right above the first guideline we created. We're going to use the same guard and the lever to soften up this line and get it ready for the half guard. Now that we're done softening up the line with the one guard, we can move on to the half guard and erase the line completely. Make sure to flick out and use its corners. You want to make sure you use your opposite hand to either comb the hair down or stretch the skin to give you more space. I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Thank you. Moving on to our two guard all the way open, we're going to create our fourth guideline, and this is going to help us connect the higher guards to the lower guards. We're going to use this same guard and the lever to soften up the line and get it ready for the 1.5 guard. We are near the occipital bone, so you want to make sure you detail and take your time. Sometimes after using the 1.5 guard, there's still a faint line, so moving on to your one guard all the way open and using its corners will definitely help remove that line. Now we're moving on to the 3 guard all the way open and we're flicking out as much as possible once we get to the top. This guard is going to prepare us for a clipper of a comb method. Now that we're done using our 3 guard, we can move on to the clipper over comb method and begin to deep bulk and make the taper as smooth as possible. When the cutting blade is horizontal, I'm deep bulking, and when the cutting blade is vertical, I'm blending. I'm also tilting the comb at a certain degree, whichever degree is needed once I pull the hair out. It's also best to keep the hair a little bit damp so it's easier to pick up with the comb. Now that we're done doing our rough draft in the back taper, we can move on to the neckline and use our Gold FX to make them as crispy as possible. I always start off at the bottom and work my way to the top arch using the corners of the Gold FX blade. I also make sure I go slow enough that the hair feeds into the trimmer and that it cuts properly. Now that we're done with the back taper and neckline, we can move on to the side taper and create our first guideline. You want to make this guideline at a curved shape so the fade can flow better. Now that we're done balding them out, we can move on to our no guard all the way open and create our second guideline. We're then going to slightly close the lever and erase our initial guideline completely. Now that we're done erasing our initial guideline, we can move on to the one guard all the way open and create our third guideline. Again, we're still following that same curve shape and being consistent as possible. After the one guard all the way open, we're now moving on to the two guard all the way open, creating our fourth guideline. We're still using the corners and making sure it's consistent as possible to that same curve we started with our initial guideline. Now that we're done softening up the line with the two guard and the lever, we can move on to the 1.5 guard and use its corners to erase the line completely. Before we use our clipper over comb method, we're going to debulk with the 3 guard all the way open. Now we're using our clipper over comb to debulk and make it as smooth as possible to blend into the top hair. Here I'm using my shave stick so he doesn't bump up. This is right before we use the foil shaver. Now I'm going to use the Babyliss foil shaver to remove all the stubble. Moving on to the C cups, we're starting off at the bottom and working our way to the top arch. You also want to make sure not to press too hard with the teeth of the trimmer because you could bite them. Here we're heading over to our previous guards and detailing as much as possible. The one guard all the way open is very critical to detailing and also the half guard. You want to make sure you flick out as much as possible and use the corners as much as possible. Now we're going to use our shears to trim his hair and connect the sides into the back taper. I'm making sure that the hair is nice and damp so I get this true length once I pull it with my fingers. When cutting you with your shears, you want to make sure you use the comb to feed the hair into your fingers, hold it tight, and then cut with your shears. I usually make a guideline going across the middle of the head and then connect it to the sides. Taking it piece by piece, making sure I'm as accurate and consistent as possible. Again, I hope you guys are enjoying the video. Please leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It's greatly appreciated. Also, if you comment down below, I'm 100% going to reply to it. Moving on to our Turkish razor and Derby premium blades, we're going to make them as crispy as possible. But before we do that, we're going to apply shave gel. This is so it makes the skin as smooth as possible when the razor is gliding over it. When using the Turkish razor, you want to make sure you stretch the skin as much as possible and keep the razor at a 45-degree angle. If not, there's a higher chance of you cutting them.